Welcome to episode 14.
Hey, this is John Lee Dumas of EO Fire, and you're listening to Who Did That Voice, where we take an in-depth look at voiceovers.
Are you ready to plan your next vacation getaway? Then I recommend using 3D Travel Company. They are more powerful than pixie dust, more fantastic than flu powder, and they never charge a fee. Whether you're booking a Disney or Universal vacation, a relaxing cruise, or a luxury trip overseas, you'll experience concierge-level service unmatched by any agency. From the moment you submit a complimentary quote request or inquiry on their website at www.3dtravelcompany.com, you'll find out what it means to be pampered by the best in the business. That's 3, the letter D, travelcompany.com. And tell them Trenton sent you.
Welcome to Who Did That Voice, the show where we take an in-depth look at voiceover. And now, here's your host, Trenton Larkin.
Today on the show, we have the spectacular Chris Anthony Lansdowne. Chris, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Trenton. How are you?
Doing well, Chris. Thank you so much for joining the show today.
Well, I'm actually excited to join. This is like one of my favorite things to do, is to get to meet people and talk to people and, just hang out and be friends.
Absolutely. Well, Chris, would you do us the honor of just giving us a brief background of who you are as an individual and as a voice actress?
Uh-oh, I'm in trouble. A brief story of who I am. Well, that's about 5,000 personalities. So, well, I've been a voice actress for almost 30 years. Yay! I've been very fortunate to be able to do something that I love for all these years. I'm also a hostess of a very exciting radio drama called Adventures In Odyssey. Some people might know that. Hi, this is Chris, the hostess of the show, and that's been going, 30 years. Are you getting the picture that I'm this old grandma in a chair going, hi, this is Chris? I'm a children's entertainer, so most of my other part of my life is involved with kids and doing stories and all kinds of fun things with them. And I have such a crazy life. Really, I do. And I've been really blessed to be able to do what I've done for so long. My favorite thing to do is I love to go to the movies, like I'm sure a lot of you guys do. Go to the movies, just get lost in the world of a good movie, popcorn, and, just enjoy that. I have a lot of friends that are just kind of kooky and crazy like me. So whenever they say, are you up for this? I say, yes, I'm up for it. So I'm always on to an adventure somewhere. But I don't know. I lead a pretty nice life, I should say that.
That's very wonderful to hear, Chris. So as far as voiceover careers go, how did you get into the voiceover industry? Did you kind of stumble into it, or did it come about another way?
Does anybody stumble into anything? I do believe, there are certain things that are kind of picked for you a little bit. I have a strong faith in God, and I always think he's got a good sense of humor because he's always leading me into new directions. And some of them are pretty crazy. But I actually started as an on-camera actress in my earlier days. I was, lots of commercials and parts and various things. And it was really fun for many years. But, a lot of voiceover people will tell you it's a little limiting. What you look like is what what you're cast for. But when you go into the world of voiceovers, it's just limitless when it comes to being characters. And I love being a different character. So I wasn't limited to how I looked. I was able to do old grandmas and, hello there. And then I could do little kids, and I could do bugs and voices and dog voices. And so it was just so much more freeing and fun to do voiceovers. And it seems like that's the way the road kind of led, and then I just followed it. And your imagination is what kind of makes it all come to life. And boy, do I have an imagination. So that's kind of where I ended up.
Well, that is most excellent to hear. And I know with voiceovers, one of the voices that you've done was the voice of Barbie. And how did that come to be?
Oh, you don't want to know the story? Okay, everybody, sit down. This is going to be a weird little bit of a longer story. Well, it is the most unusual thing, I think, that's happened in my career. Well, aside from maybe one or two, but I was doing a lot of voices for toys for many years, electronic games, and I was doing voices for dolls and dogs and everything. And a lady friend of mine who I was working for said, they're having auditions for some doll, and, you'd be perfect for it. And I said, well, I'm always up for an audition for something new. So I had an interview actually set up to go to Mattel. Now, little Chrissy didn't put this together yet, right, what I was actually auditioning for. I had an audition set up to go. Well, some of you might remember the 94 earthquake. I think it was 94. The next day was going to be my interview. Well, here comes an earthquake, and where I was living, I was in Sherman Oaks, and everything, was affected by it. My place was shaken, dishes falling off the shelves. My world and everybody else's world changed from that point. And the reason I'm telling you this is it sounds like a long story, but things were pretty much in shambles. And, no running water. Everybody was panicking, trying to figure out how to get through this incredible thing that happened. Well, again, my audition was for the following day, but, here comes an earthquake. And, gee, what's more important, earthquake, audition? So immediately in my mind, I'm thinking about, surviving. And I got a phone call, and they said, you're probably not going to come down here. And I said, no. But I remember my husband saying, look, this might be important. I'll hold it together. You go down there and do your audition. And I thought, wow, that's a nice husband to really feel that way. And he said he had a feeling that I should go. And so when my husband has feelings to go somewhere, I usually listen to that. Very wise man. So I said, I don't know. I was toying with the idea. Well, I had that phone call from the director at the time, Jacques DeLong, down in El Segundo at Mattel. And he said to me, Chris, I know this is kind of hard. Why don't we try something a little different? You can audition on the phone. Oh, okay. Yeah, there's tremors coming in. I'm just going to sit in the phone. So I went down on my bedroom floor, and I picked up my phone. I said, and I kid you not, I said, well, what do you want me to say? Because I don't really know what I'm auditioning for. He said, okay, this is what you say. Hi, this is Barbie. Welcome to McDonald's. And I went, what? At that point, it occurred to me, I'm auditioning for Barbie. Didn't make it any easier. I just got more nervous because there's tremors from an earthquake coming in, and I'm thinking, I'm going to audition for Barbie. So I said, okay, fine. And then I just kind of sat there and got quiet for a minute, and I went, hi, it's me, Barbie. Welcome to McDonald's.
That's awesome.
He was very quiet. He said nothing. I went, oh, boy, can I do it again? I was nervous. He goes, no, that was fine. Would you do me a favor? And I said, sure. Would you come down to Mattel tomorrow? Just like that. And I said, yeah, sure. And so I hung up. I told my husband. He says, I knew I had a feeling about this. I go, honey, there's no running water. I have to go with my baseball cap on. I can't even look pretty like a girl. He said, just go. And so, one of those things that girls do, they want to look their best when they're going somewhere. I put on my baseball cap, went down to Mattel, sat in a recording booth behind a glass window, and on the other side of the window were like 7 people, different people you can tell were like, directors, executives and stuff. And Jacques said, all right, just do what you did on the phone. I couldn't even remember what I did on the phone. I was dying. Okay, so there I sat in my little stool behind the mic at Mattel, and I said, hi, I'm Barbie. And they all looked at each other very quietly, whispered in each other's ears, and looked at me, and I kind of probably had like a deer in the headlights look on my face. They used the talkback button and said, would you like to start tomorrow? I go, start what? They go, well, Barbie needs a voice, and you're going to be it. And I went, what? No kidding. On the phone, down to Mattel, and I think God had a plan for me, and I was going to be the voice of Barbie, and I recorded so many things for years. Her CD-ROMs were big, her talking dolls, her skates talked, her playhouse, her kitchen, everything you can imagine. I was picked to record her voice into. We had a Barbie that the mouth actually went up and down as she talked.
Wow.
And I had to program into her thousands of names so that when a little girl played with Barbie, they would hear their voice spoken. It took us weeks and weeks and weeks to record names. I cannot tell you. For years, I was doing a Detective Barbie and Teacher Barbie, which is really smart and never make her sound like she's not. And then there was like Snow White Barbie and Working Woman Barbie. You can't imagine the world of Barbie and all that entailed. And I so enjoyed it. And then, later on, as things started to dwindle a little bit, we had a strike with my union, and I wasn't able to do Barbie's voice with a strike going on. And so they were looking for someone to fill in for me as I was not able to do my job. So they went to Canada with the non-union, and they picked a couple girls to do her voice. And after the strike ended, there was all this random different voices trying to imitate me doing Barbie. It was a very interesting part of my career, listening to all these voices that weren't really me, trying to sound like me. And just to end this story, I was going to tell you that at the very close of it, I remember going to Mattel, and they said, well, we need you to mimic this voice. I said, what? This was a girl that did something while I was on strike, and so she recorded it. So I had to make my voice sound like her, trying to sound like me. How's that for a interesting part of your career, huh?
Absolutely.
And she didn't sound much like Barbie. Sorry, that was a long story, but I had to tell you the details of it.
No, it was wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. It's very fascinating to hear. So were you the first voice of Barbie then?
I think, from what I hear, there was maybe a couple projects that weren't really identified as just, her voice. They were just kind of, starting out. But I kind of think I came into the game where I established her sound and what she was going to be sounding like for the next probably 7 years. 6-7 years. So, there was random things, but not, like I said, established voice for her.
Well, that is most fascinating. I know my sisters played with Barbie, and, we all kind of played house and stuff and played together. So I know there are lots of little girls and boys out there who have probably played with Barbie dolls, and to have you on the show and share that story, that's very fascinating. Thank you so much for sharing that with us today, Chris.
Sure, you got it. I think voiceover world, there's many stories, but that was the most unique, weird one for me. And like I said, I think it was part of my destiny to do that particular thing. And I guess what I didn't share a lot of was Mattel would not allow me to do a lot of interviews and establish my name, my face to go with her. They wanted to keep it very, the mystique, the fantasy Barbie. So I had to do a lot of jobs. No one knew it was me, and it was really hard because here I'm doing, her voice for everything, but they wanted to keep the fantasy of it, and so without them knowing, and I'm probably going to go to jail at some point. Kidding. I used to make phone calls to little girls that were sick. I kind of did my own thing to the side just to, to make it special. Little girls going to the hospital or families going through divorce, I would call, and, I'd be Barbie, and I'd be their little friend. And I never wanted her to sound really, dumb or insincere or fake. I wanted to keep her real sounding and sweet, just like she was every little girl's best friend. And so I used that many times to just to bless a couple of kids,
Well, that is so sweet that you actually did that for those girls. I'm sure that touched their lives in ways that probably changed them forever.
I don't know. I hope, I just wanted to, Mattel didn't know I did it, but every once in a while I pick up that phone and I knew I could make a difference for some little girl that was going through something. So that was my way of making it special for me,
Well, that is very sweet, Chris. Thank you for sharing that with us. That's I'm sure that's a very close story to your heart, and I know I treasure the story you shared with us. That's very special. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, Chris, besides being the voice of Barbie, would you tell us what transpired for you to become the host of Adventures in Odyssey?
Oh, well, that's where my heart is. Adventures in Odyssey is so special to me. It is a radio drama, as they say, for kids, but it really doesn't go. it spans from kids to adults all around the world. It was really sweet that they allowed me to be a hostess of it. The writing is so incredible. The production of it is just phenomenal. Right down to the Foley, the sound effects, it's just so well done. And I think, everybody wants to be on the show because it's such a quality production, and the stories are they're so good because kids, they got a lot of stuff out there in the world to pick from, and a lot of it isn't very good, and it doesn't really, enforce good things. And Odyssey always had a story that was right on the pulse of what kids were doing and what they were going through, and they wrote it so that, kids could hear how to respond to certain things going on in life and how to make different choices. And it wasn't done in a preachy, boring way. It's done in such a live, breathing, great way that, kids that have been listening since they were really small grew up, and now they're having children and they're listening to the show. So that's what I hear. I've been listening to you my whole life, and now my children are listening, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I sound like Grandma Crash here, But it's so amazing because these are the same people grew up, had their kids, and now their families are listening to it. And what an honor to be a part of that, At any point, they could have said, hey, let's get a new hostess, but they never did. They allowed me to stay. Hi, this is Chris on the show for 30 years, and I'm forever grateful.
Well, Chris, your voice is so integral. I mean, there's not an episode you've not done that we've started with and ended with you, and you have kind of kept that connection to what was and what Odyssey has become. And, it's always inspirational to listen to your words at the beginning and the end, because you always say, I know you're reading your script, but the words you say and in the way you say them, they always touch my heart. And I know they touch other lives and people. And you inspire people, and you bring joy to people's lives because of how you announce the show. And I think that's why they didn't ever consider replacing you, because the way you do it is a way that touches people's lives now and forever.
You're going to make me come over there and give you the biggest hug for that. That is so sweet.
Well, I've been listening to the show since I was 2, so I've grown up with you, and you're like family, so.
That's so great. I don't really care if when I die and go to heaven, I hope I don't. I'm saying this. I don't want my tombstone to say, wow, greatest voice actress in the world. Greatest. I want to know that if something's written there, it says she loved people. She cared about people. I'm in this business, to be honest with you, it's not about the business. It's about how it connects me to people and how it makes me touch lives and be a part of their world. And what you said to me means a lot to me, because that tells me that it's like that's what matters. I don't care if I'm the biggest star, with my name on Hollywood Walk of Fame. I don't really care about that, but I do care about making a difference. And I try to be a good encourager of, it's so easy to touch people's lives. You just have to think of them as all being a book of some sort. And each book has its, original stories, and it's got their ups and downs. You just have to be willing to open that book and talk to people and find out what they're about. And you can connect and change people's lives by just taking the time to care for somebody and listen to somebody. I went to a school one time because I talked to a lot of schools every once in a while, and I told these kids, I go, do you guys know how powerful you are? All you have to do is smile at somebody, and you can change that person's day. I told them the power of a smile. And I looked at all these little faces in the audience, and everybody's smiling. And I go, just go walk. When you're with somebody and walk with your mom or doing something, just smile at somebody and see what you'll see from that. And it was so amazing because they got it, And it's like I just feel like, we're all walking around needing the same things, and we all need love, and we all want to connect with people, and I just wanted to encourage that. So see how I kind of get off the path. One question, 20 for me. So
no, it's part of the process, and it's encouraging to hear you say that, because even hearing you talk about smiling made me smile. And, one of the things I've learned through the course of my life is that when you're on a phone conversation or when you're doing something like this, when you smile, people can hear the smile in your voice, and it will in turn make them smile. Smiles and laughter are the best medicine in the world. And if you can make somebody smile, like you said, you can change their entire day. Their entire outlook can change.
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe, somebody else is listening going, oh my gosh, she's so hokey. I don't care. I'm old. I've been on shows for 30 years, so I'm not a spring chicken, right? But I get to the point in my life I thought, I want to make a difference in some way. And it's just not all about fame and fortune, because that's no guarantee. You can have all the money you possibly can, and you can have all the fame. And I know a lot of miserable people that are in entertainment that you got to have something a little deeper and richer in your life and investing all in that. And I don't mean to be preachy, but I do have a strong faith in God, and He has carried me through every year of my life. And I've, been the ups and downs of life, and I've, been married for also 30 years. Oh, interesting, 30. And I really rely on Him for everything. And that's always been my crazy glue to every situation.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that intimate story with us today. Well, I know you said your time was very precious, and do we have more time for questions, or?
Well, I think I got a little bit more time if you can listen to me just ramble on.
Oh, it's wonderful to hear, Chris. I mean, this is like a dream come true for me, because you have touched my life. You have been an inspiration to me and my family. And we lived in Israel, and we went on the mission field and stuff. And Katie knows this. She knows our family pretty closely. And
Katie Lee, I love Katie Lee. That's Connie.
Oh, yes, I forgot to mention, Katie Lee is Connie Kendall on Adventures in Odyssey. But Katie is actually the first interview that I did. And when we went on the mission field, there were different things where our lives were correlating with the Barclays, going on to their, new place in Pokenberry Falls. And when they were pregnant, my mom was pregnant.
Wow.
And when Jimmy was going through puberty and falling in love with Connie, I was falling in love with Connie, those kind of things. So, it was more than a radio show, more than a radio drama. We became part of Adventures in Odyssey, part of the town of Odyssey, and we were one of the families that was right there in that story, because that's how much the story makes you feel a part of it. It doesn't make you feel like you're listening to a show. It brings you inside and welcomes you as a member of the community.
Whoa, that's quite a testimony for that show. I'll say, every once in a while they write me a part. I do voices that people don't know on the show. And it's more fun because you guys know me as Chris, but then they give me I remember we did The Great Wish He Was. That was that takeoff of, oh my gosh, what is it?
Wizard of Oz? Yeah.
Yes, and I got to play you're the good witch, you're the bad witch. And I was Glinda, and I think I got to be a really old, witchy part. And what you guys don't know sometimes is when I record, sometimes they separate me into a different room, and the cast will read together, and I'll read separately. And so when they gave me a part on the show, I play secret parts. I get to sit there with the cast and record. I used to be Mrs. Randolph. Mrs. Randolph was the old lady that Wooten used to go visit. And Mrs. Randolph read like this. And he'd say, hello, Wooten. The kids never knew. They never knew it was me. But they'd talk about her.
That's awesome. I know that you've touched people's lives in ways they obviously haven't understood until now, hopefully. So that's awesome. Awesome to hear.
Well, thank you. I just, in leaving this conversation, I just want to say thank you for the great compliments. And, if there are people that are thinking about going into this business, have a good foundation in your life, and know what's your priorities and what's important. You want to pursue this, and you want to pursue it with 100%. And I do encourage people to always take acting, because voiceovers isn't all about just having a good voice. You have to be a good actor or actress. So if you're thinking about that, you want to definitely take up some workshops that teach you how to act, improv classes. If the business is really changing from a long time ago, like I said, all these years, now people have their own recording booths, and then they got the internet. It's just really gone through major changes. But I don't want to discourage anybody. I want to always encourage you to follow your dream and get yourself, with a good priority in your life, and that will help you pursue it.
Well, thank you for sharing that encouraging word, Chris. Do you have any current projects that you're working on, or any ways in which you can be contacted should people be interested in using you for voiceover projects?
I am going to fly to Colorado Springs in about 2 weeks. They're bringing me out as a personality. That's what they call me. You're coming as a personality, and it's called Heaven Fest. It's a huge concert with all kinds of music and musicians, and I get to go there and represent Adventures in Odyssey. And I'm very excited because last year they flew me out to Alaska, and I got to go to Alaska. It was so amazing. And I just want to say this. I was really hesitant about going because I'm not a real traveler per se. And I was thinking, I don't want to leave my comfort zone. If I go to Alaska, I have to fly there by myself. And, you're out there in Alaska, and I don't know where I'm going. But what happened was, I had a plan for this. So I said, I okayed it. I said, I'll come to Alaska. And they said, what we want you to do is, we have a radio station out here in Glen Ellen. And what an amazing place it was. The whole trip was amazing. The sweetest people ever. My thing was to come to the radio station. Now, Glen Ellen is about 3 hours from really, Fairbanks? And so it's really out there. It's not in, it's out there. So what they wanted me to do is go on the air for 3 days and talk to people of Alaska and invite them to come and to raise some money for this radio station, which was like a beacon for a lot of different people. People really listened to this station, and they needed to raise some money. So I said, okay, I'm going to leave my comfort zone. I'm going to go do this even though I don't like to fly. And I went. I can't tell you how welcomed I was by these people. They were so kind and so amazing. They all wanted pictures and autographs. And like I said, I was a celebrity for, 3 days. And what ended up happening was on my day there, they took me around and they were showing me the town of Glen Ellen, and mountains with snow on it, and it was breathtaking. I got to see glaciers and moose and all kinds of things. And one man actually took me for a ride on one of the sled rides where the dogs are pulling.
Yeah.
Oh boy!
That had to be fascinating.
No snow yet, but
wow.
They keep the dogs trained. So he took me on a ride up into the hills, and I'm going, oh my gosh, I'm on a team of dogs pulling me up a mountain. To end the trip, and the reason I'm telling you this is they said, you need to go get out of your cabin. It was 11 o'clock at night and go look at the sky. This is my last day in Alaska. I looked up at the sky, and there was the Northern Lights.
Oh, wow.
I got to see the Northern Lights.
That had to be beautiful.
It was stunning colors, and it's like just across the sky, you just stand there in awe. And I thought to myself, wow, I almost didn't go on this trip out of my fear of not wanting to do this. I guess I'm telling people, so be encouraged. Leave your comfort zone. If you feel that little tug to go do something, go do it. You might miss out if you don't. So I said yes to my new trip coming up to Colorado this year, and I'm going to keep taking more adventures.
Well, that is most excellent, Chris. People just persevere, push through their fears, and, go after their dreams because you never know what could happen.
Absolutely. Well, this has been so much fun, and I so appreciate you, and I hope you guys don't mind my rambling on with my stories because I do that.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Chris. Would you just please let people know who they're listening to and maybe close us out as Chris from Adventures in Odyssey?
Absolutely. This is Chris saying, who did that voice? You guys are going to love this show. I'm really excited to listen to it, too. I bet you I'm going to hear some familiar voices. So, hi, this is Chris. Come on and listen. Who did that voice? Bye-bye.
Hey, everyone. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And if you did, please stop on by my Contact Me page at www.whodidthatvoice.co. I'd love to hear from you. When I set out to do this podcast, I knew I had a passion, I knew I had a dream, and I wanted to make it a reality so that I could share my passions and dreams with others. Man, my passions and dreams have been blown way out of the water because of my listeners and the support I've been given, including the people who are donating to this show. Today's giveaway is from New World Comics. My buddy Buck, the owner over there, donated several items to give away on the show in the weeks to come. They are located at 6219 North Meridian Avenue, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, 73112. If you get a chance, go inside, say hello to Buck and his crew, and tell them thanks for donating to the show. Well, everyone, that's all the time we have for this episode. Join us next Friday for our next special guest, Rick Sellers, who has voiced tons of different toys, greeting cards, and he is the voice of the General for the General Insurance Company. Hey, are you ready to win some awesome prizes? All you have to do is like our Facebook page or follow us on Twitter for your chance to be instantly and automatically entered for your chance to win.
Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you next time for more discoveries on Who Did That Voice.